When you look at yourself in the mirror and you see your turban, what does that mean to you?
Thanks for asking it that way, because so often people ask me, well, what do people think the turban means? And people in religious communities describe different meanings for
Mm,
their own understandings of articles of faith or rituals or practices. To me, there's a few things that I would say. One of the most compelling meanings of the turban to me, it is a symbol of empowerment and equality and divine royalty. And
mm,
what I mean by that is in South Asian culture, especially in the early modern period, 500
mhm,
years ago when the Sikh Gurus were walking on this earth, in South Asian culture, the turban indicated someone's royal status, right? Only the
mhm,
highest class people, men
mm,
and kings were wearing turbans. And the teaching in the Sikh tradition is that everyone is equal and everyone is
mm,
equally divine. And the gurus made this really interesting, creative moment of activism and said, I could tell you all to stop wearing your turbans because you're no better than anyone else. But what if instead
mhm,
I empowered everyday people to
mhm,
recognize their own divine royalty, their own sovereignty, and say, you should wear turbans too. Why wouldn't you? And I love
mhm.
that creative act. I love that moment of genius. And I really take it seriously that the turban to me is like a crown. It might mean something different to people in modern America today, but to me, it really does feel like a crown and as a marker of my own personal sovereignty. And it sort of functions that way too, that like by choosing to wear a turban and choosing to look different in modern American society where I live, it helps remind me every day that I don't have to be like everyone else, that I can make choices that are in line with my own values that are represented by my turban, right? Like these ideas about oneness and love and justice. I can do that even if no one else is doing it because that's what sovereignty means. I have an autonomous independent decision making practice that I get to engage with every day by choosing to wear the turban, but then also then helps me make those decisions more easily in a context where people don't always live by the same values that I try to.
The Sikh community exists all over the globe, but probably in no country are they a majority. So most people, whenever they meet you, you're one of few, and maybe they've never met a Sikh member before. I wonder, what would you like people who aren't immersed in the Sikh tradition, what kind of association would you like them to have when they see the turban?
I love the question again. My way of thinking about this is what are the people's ugliest stereotypes about people with turbans? What
Hmm.
kinds of things have people said to me on the street that I
Sure.
really struggled with? And how do I challenge those? And, I would say one of the more frustrating assumptions that I receive and that many people in my community get is that because I am somebody who's visibly religious, I must be closed minded. I must be very
Mm,
conservative. I must think that my way of living is the only right way to live, which is an assumption and a stereotype that I understand, but
mm,
it doesn't ring true for me. And so, what I would love for people to see when they see someone with a turban is not to immediately jump to, this guy is an intense religious nut job, and instead say, oh, this person is really committed to the value of love and openness. And,
mhm,
in our tradition, seeing humanity first is
mm,
a really important practice. And so to be able to move from a place where people see me and assume that I'm making assumptions about them, and instead to say, oh, this person really sees me as someone who
mhm,
is equally divine and
mm,
equally
mhm.
deserving and equally respected, that would be a lovely place to land.